want to welcome everyone. Before I begin, I want to give David a little intro because I've known David seems like forever. Dave and I go way back. David has, gosh, I've known David since probably early 2000s. I guess 2003, 2004, something like that. David's worked with a lot of high-profile marketers. If you're into marketing, he's worked with guys like Ryan Lee, Eben Pagan, he's done copy, sales copy for the World's Strongest Man. So David and I have gotten together for years, and I've literally picked David's brain and gotten David shared a lot of ideas with me. David, incidentally, has kind of inspired me back in 2009 to do my own book because he had done his book back in like 2007, Internet Empires. And I'm just going to share a couple of examples just at the power of even self-publishing today. What it can do for you in your business. And I'm holding up a copy of Rebecca Cagle, one of our members right here. And she's got a book called Grieving the Loss of Your Pet. This is now on Amazon, right?
Yes.
And you've gotten, what, 2 other books?
Yes. No, they're horse books.
Horse books, okay. So she's published this book. It's been, how long ago have you published this book?
I think it went in November of last year.
November last year? Okay. So, and you use CreateSpace?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's an option. David's gonna be talking about what we're covering tonight is self-publishing. Here's the thing: a lot of people, you hear a lot about self-publishing. It's a very powerful thing that you can do for your business. We talked a couple of months ago about podcasting. Self-publishing can really set you apart from a lot of other people in your industry. If you have a book, that kind of sets you way apart from everyone else. The problem is, a lot of people talk about publishing, but once they get the book published, they don't know how to sell it.
I'm sorry?
They don't know how to sell it. So it's great, you think, you get your book published, you think the work is done, but you're just beginning. That's just the beginning of the job. So what David's going to focus in on a lot tonight is the selling process, something that we all need to learn more of, how to sell that book once you get it published, because this is great. I think this is awesome. Once you get past this step, you're way ahead of a lot of other people. And the power of it, the recognition that it can give you. And let me just share this quick example. David encouraged me back in 2008 to write a book because he had done his book, Internet Empires. And he had done that book really quickly, had published that with a number of people that he interviewed and put that together and sold, what, 3,000 copies. He encouraged me. I published a couple of books. Many of you guys know Russell Portwood. He and I published a book a few years ago, and it was off a lot of what David's encouragement to get out there and get this book published. We put this book together, self-published it through CreateSpace, just like this book. And while we haven't sold near what David has, it's brought a lot of recognition. It brings you a lot of credibility. People buy it on Amazon. But just a couple of months ago, here's the power of what publishing can do. This is a marketing book for veterinarians. Okay, we had a couple of months ago, one of the veterinary schools, Tarleton State University in Texas, contacted us about using a lot of the stuff that's in this book. Some of the marketing ideas. If they could take some of these ideas, some of the stuff out of this book, and use it as part of their program. Now, am I going to say no to that? No, because they have to give recognition to what? This book. And that's what you want. You want it spreading virally. So that's the power of publishing. But that's just the first part of the step. David's going to be talking about how to sell it. And that's what we need to learn, how to sell it. He's going to be talking about his 2 books. And since David didn't bring a copy, I decided to show you. Oh, the ultimate, here it is, the Ultimate Nashville Business Guide. And not only that one, but he's also got the women's edition, which is the Ultimate Nashville Business Guide for Women, which is another cool idea. Take that one niche and you can kind of go from there. You don't just create one idea and then you can go from there and create the women's guide, and then he can go even further with that. So he's going to be talking about that. I'm not going to take any more time. David, it's all yours. Let me hand you this.
You want to show the Dr. Thomas thing?
Oh yeah, that was the other story.
That was cool because it's off the cuff.
Yeah.
The other day.
So Dave and I have a mutual client. He is a bariatric surgeon in Texas. Another Texas story. We have a mutual client who is a bariatric surgeon in Texas. Happened to be on the phone with this particular client a couple of days ago, and David had been in town for the last few days. David was with me. We were actually driving over to Cades Cove to see the mountains, and I was talking to my client, and he says, I just mentioned that David said hello, and he says, tell David, because David had encouraged him. He's David's client as well, so David had encouraged him to publish a book. And he said, his words to me were, said, David, tell David, thank you. Because that one thing, publishing a book, has totally changed my life. And it will change, it will change you. It'll change your business. Because from publishing that one book that he did, he's now going to launch another book and another book. And that will just spur you on. And it does separate you. Nobody else, very few other people in his field of bariatric surgery are doing that. And David's going to share some other examples about that as well. I will say, if you do not, David's going to feed you a lot of information tonight. He is going to mention to you, he's got a coaching program at the end. He's going to share a little bit about that with you. If you need some additional guidance, he's going to tell you. He's going to share a lot of information, but if you need even more, he's going to tell you about that at the end tonight. And with that said, I'll hand it over to him.
Man, where's Russell at?
He's always. You're ready.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So I'll give you just a real quick background or whatever. I don't want you can Google me if you want, but if you want more. But let's see. I'm 35. Live in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Wife, child, 2 years old, little baby girl. She already knows how to send email and stuff, so I'm turning her into internet marketer really quick at 2. I've been making a living on the internet, still do, since like 2002 or 3. I was like 22 years old. I made my first $47. I still remember I went in the computer lab. I got $47. You know, it wasn't gangster money or anything, but I woke up and there's money in my PayPal account, and I became a Kool-Aid drinker after that. So I just loved it. Never went back. I ate peanut butter and ramen noodles for a long time. It was in that .com era where like everybody was making money. Like all these VC people were giving away billions of dollars for any idea. I wasn't one of those. I struggled. I literally ate peanut butter and ramen noodles. Probably should have got a job at the time, but I'd already tasted money, and I said, man, I'm gonna just hit it. So finally figured out how to make money. Never had a real job, thank God. I've never had a real job since college, dropped out. And I'm telling you some of this because I'm real transparent and direct, and I like to give people hope. And I failed English 3 times. The guy that's speaking, that's selling all these books, I failed English 3 times. Okay? I'm not even saying it bragging. I would love to know what a verb and adverb and all that stuff is. That'd be cool, but I'll figure that out while I'm selling my books. While the English teacher is still teaching English, I'm gonna be hanging out in Cades Cove hiking during the middle of the day. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy. So I spend more time marketing and selling than I figured. There's always people you can pay to do that other stuff. And that's a very interesting conversation I'm gonna have with my child one day about that. But public education will make you a living. Self-education will make you rich. And so that's kind of what my philosophy when I teach. So still I own about 12 websites. I've been selling a few just to consolidate. Still own about 12 websites. Still make a full-time living. 2007, after I wrote my first book, started doing consulting first time. What else? Sold 3,000 copies of Internet Empires. I'm gonna just fast forward. In April 17th, 2012, I started Nashpreneur.com, just a local site. I wanted to get out of my house and actually meet people. A lot of my clients I've never met in person. I don't fly. People love this story. I'm going to share this real quick because people just love this. 35, I've never even flown on an airplane. You owned one. You know, I've been to an airport twice though. I've actually been to an airport, picked people up. My wife, she travels, but here's the ironic thing: my mortgage up until this year, because of Google Panda updates, but up until this year, my mortgage on my house has been paid by Google. I haven't had to work for my house in years, like years. I mean, so from a travel site, the ironic thing is I just paid writers to write it for me. And so I didn't even write any of the articles on coolestplacestovisit.com. People get a kick out of that because the way I teach things is manage stuff. Like these books. I wrote one chapter of my book and I sold 1,200 copies. Boom. Like that. And you guys can do that. I wouldn't teach you if I didn't think it was duplicatable. So I do consulting. I only take 12 clients a year. I love my time. I came up here on Monday. All I've been doing is hanging out. You know, went on a riverboat today, hiking yesterday. I didn't tell you, man, I can barely walk today. Like, we literally hiked to Abrams Falls, like in Townsend.
It's a 2-hour hike.
Oh, she's busting on me on this. Man, it was like 2.5, but it was like rocky. Even the flat places were like rocky, man. Well, I saw a bunch of, look at this. Did you insert her in this? Did you like put her right here directly right there? Like, no, there weren't like kids. There was like, you know, there's like 4-year-old. Yeah, I saw them. I'm with you. Dude, that was good. Like, it was intense, but it was worth it. So anyway, I like my time, but I also like to work with like really select clients or certain types of people that I work with. I'm gonna give you stuff even if you don't hire me, just so you know. I'm gonna offer you something, but it's only for 3 people in this room, so it's not even like half the people won't be able to do it. But I will offer it. But stuff I'm gonna teach you tonight, even if you didn't hire me, you could totally make money from what I'm teaching you tonight, just so you know. So I don't just kind of like leave you hanging or anything. So I'm gonna tell you why I started doing books. There's a scenario back in 2006. I met a guy named Jason Oman, best-selling author, Conversations with Millionaires, and they put out a book. Him and Mike Littman put out a book, and all they did was interview millionaires, had it transcribed, edited, and long story short, ended up becoming a bestseller and all that. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then my buddy David Fry was selling high-end consulting, like $50,000 consulting. And every now and then he'd bring this other employee that was a consultant for the company along with him, just because he sold something kind of different and it made sense to bring him on. And so he would bring this guy on, and sometime this guy wrote a book. And he said the book wasn't even that good. And I don't know what the book was. I looked it up one time. The cover was terrible. I don't know what the topic was about, but it wasn't like a good book. David said. I mean, it was just a basic book. But he said he would sit down, and these clients would, and this is what a book will do. I've seen it in my own business a million times. Like, that's the only reason I still do books. Is these clients are thinking about hiring them. But they're still kind of skeptical. They're maybe 60% closed or whatever. He would reach down in his briefcase, pull out a book, sign it, and slide it over and say, here's some more reading on the topic. It's a book I wrote about X, whatever that topic was. And David said he would just sit back and watch their face, their demeanor. They would just like melt. Well, I'd heard that from other books. Okay, I was like, so it wasn't just Dave telling me. I saw what Jason Oman did, and I read it from like 5 or 6 other books. I said, well, there's got to be something to this. Like, too many people are saying this. So that's why I put out Internet Empires. And I had some pretty famous people like Joe Vitale from The Secret and Jeff Walker and just a bunch of people in marketing or whatever. And so I put them in my book just to sell the book, just to have authority, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then I put other people that like, I can't think of his name right now, Jim Nelson in Covington, Kentucky, who makes $100,000 a year selling juggling supplies on the internet. And nobody knows him, but he's just this guy. But I like to give people hope, and so he's just a regular teacher, college professor, and so I put him in the book. And so that's what got me to even put out the book, just because the way people treated you. There's a Bible verse that says, and I believe it's true. I mean, I quote it just about every day, just because I see it every day. Is man looks on the outward and God looks on the heart. Like, whether you're a Christian or not, I mean, you can see it. There's always, we like good-looking people. There's a reason. It's sad, but we do, because you hang out with certain people or associated with people, you elevate people. We all do. That's man looking on the outward you know, and people do that. And so I knew that was true, and the older I'm 35, the older I get, it's like more and more. That's why I keep doing this marketing stuff, because, you know, it's just true. So I did that, and then my consulting business, it was fascinating what happened. Like, I didn't really have to sell. I'm a salesperson. I enjoy it. I love it. That's all I study. Behavior economics is mostly what I study. And you don't even have to sell really hard. I mean, I don't hard sell anyway, but like when you have good marketing, when your marketing goes before you, your selling can suck, really. And so that's what a book will do. And I noticed that when people, it wasn't that hard to get a client anymore. I mean, I still had to work some. You can put out bad stuff, you know, word will get out, but like, it was fascinating. So anyway, I'm just sharing that backstory with you about why I even started doing this, because I don't think I'm myself as a writer. I don't think myself as a writer at all. I'm a marketer. So I got like a few points under here, and I've got about 6 steps. I've never actually wrote these down until today. I just did them, and then I realized there's about 6 things that I do. Again, this meetup is not about adverbs and like verbs and whatever. Like, I really care less about that. Yeah, that's where you like pay people, and so that's your team members. And so selling and marketing is what you want to do. My buddy Greg Stilstra wrote Power of Marketing. He was vice president of Thomas Nelson Book Publishers, and he said the average author sells 250 books in a year, about 2,500 in their lifetime. Now think about that. You spend all that time, 250 books. Like, I'm talking like nice looking books you see at Books A Million and Barnes & Nobles. They look real pretty and you think they're real big. They, on average, and it's probably worse now with the economy, it's probably even worse now. And people just don't, a lot of times people look like marketing and sales is like beneath them, especially writers, you know, especially like real legit writers are like, I just want to write and stuff, but then nobody knows about their books. You can't help anybody. If you got the cure for cancer and nobody knows about it, you can't help anybody. So let me give you 4 reasons to publish. Again, this is recorded. I know all you guys get the video and all that stuff, but here's some notes. So the first thing is authority. And this is just real life. This is not from a book. This is me doing this stuff every day that I've noticed what happened in my business and other people's businesses. I do it for clients, my friends. So authority, a couple things. When you go up to a client and you've wrote the book on the topic, like you're talking about grieving, you know, you wrote the book on the topic of how to deal with the death of a pet, you know, instantly you've got a credibility right there if you don't do anything else. And by the way, people won't read your book. I'll just be straight up with you. Most people will never read your book. They may flip through it. That's why you want to have good copy on your bullet points and your headline and that type of thing, but most people will not read it. They just won't. But the fact that you actually have one, it's instant. I look at, like, when I want somebody to hand me their visa, I visualize, I'm a real visual person, I visualize there's like 100 points, and the closer I can get to 100 points, the more likely, 100 points is kind of like trust to me, and so like the higher it goes, the more likely they are to hand me their visa, you know, to become a customer, client, whatever. So like having a book might be 15 points. You don't have to do anything else. It might be 15 points, and that helps build that trust. It's like, wow, she must be somewhat legit. She took the time and energy to actually put out a book. Self-published or not, no one gives a crap, really. And so, first of all, you wrote the book, so it instantly separates yourself, which is part B. You separate yourself from the competition. I think about this a lot, especially because I'm marketing local a lot. If there's like 10 real estate agents, and I can help anybody in this room put together a book, by the way, any topic, and I'll help brainstorm tonight. If somebody just wants to give me their idea, I'll help you come up with a book just off the top of my head. But, you know, if there's 10 real estate agents, they're all pretty much like the same, pretty much, you know, give or take, pretty much almost have the same credentials, or you can take any industry for that matter. But if somebody rolled up with a book about the topic, about some topic of selling houses, who are you more likely to hire? With all things being equal. Man looks on the outward, God looks on the heart. 3, authority by association. So my last 2 books, because I piggybacked on the women's book, I, for the second time in my life, strategically, align myself with authority players in my niche. So like when I first did it in 2006, I put like, and some of these people you may not know unless you're in a certain niche, but like I put like Jeff Walker, Joe Vitale, because The Secret was big at the time too, and so like I piggybacked off that. So I had Joe Vitale in the book and other people, and because I associated with them, and I say associate loosely, meaning like I said, hey, do you want to be my book? And they said yes. That's my association. And I put them on the back cover, you know, the bullet points, so when people read, they're like, oh, Joe Vitale's in the book? Instantly, I got credit just by association. I think it's whatever, but that's how people will judge you. So, like, do it. It's not unethical or shady or anything like that.
Can I ask questions now? And so how did you get access to him, and are they really that open to do that?
The more successful, that's that weird thing, the more successful people are, the more, I think, accessible they are. I could do it. I could go into a random niche. I'm not saying this arrogant bragging. I think anybody in this room can do it. Go into a random niche and find the authority players, and I could get them to be in a book. And maybe even get them to write me a check. That's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Get them to write me a check to be in my own book. That's what's so crazy about this. But we'll talk. So my local book, I got a guy named Phil Valentine. He's like a nationally syndicated radio talk show host. He's in Nashville. I got him to be in my book because he's in Nashville, and I wrote a Nashville book. There's a gal named Stacy Standifer. She has Nashville Lifestyles magazine, really well respected, and people like her and all that, and a big platform and all that. I strategically asked her to be in the book, and she did it. And I didn't charge them or anything. And I'll talk about charging in a second or whatever, because I make money from my books. But so I put them in my book, and so when I actually told people about my book, oh, you got this book? Oh, Phil Valentine's in it? Boom. All I did was have and here's a kicker. I don't even do it. I have my assistant go do it for me. So you can go get a VA to do it for you. You can go get a cheap virtual assistant and go do it for you. I didn't even do half this stuff. All I did is said, this is what I want done. I'm the puppet master. I'm pulling the strings in the back. That's all you got to do. Number 2 reason why you should publish is it funds your marketing. A lot of times people think marketing should cost money, and sometimes it does. But it should be an asset and not a liability.
Funds your what?
Fund your marketing. Okay, so for instance, books cost me a couple dollars. Really high quality, nice. Don't put out garbage. Put out nice, beautiful stuff. Cost me a couple of dollars, but it retails for $20. So when people buy it, I'm already making money. Now, I don't really even care about that money, really, but it's just I'll go buy business cards, or I'll go pay my assistant, or whatever, just cost of doing business. And so that's the cool thing is, I'll give you a real life example. So I put on an event on March 21st this year. I always want to do a business expo, just because, but I never had a platform locally because I didn't do any business locally. So 135 people showed up to this thing called Nashpreneurville. And for $10, you can get a ticket and network and all that. But they got an autographed copy of my book, the first 50 people. Well, those books cost me $2, and they got a ticket for $10, so I was netting $8, and I didn't even care about the $10 ticket. That was just whatever. I just wanted to get them in the door to build a relationship with 135 people. So I got a mailing list now that's paid for. I made money off of marketing. That was strategically done. It wasn't the only reason why I did it, but it was strategically done to sell books. So I sold 50 books like that. Okay. 3, which this is the next example, is the shelf life. I typically don't care. I don't have any business cards with me tonight. I really don't ever carry business cards. Not against them or whatever. I'm getting some designed, but a lot of times I'll just give away books. Not to everybody, but sometimes, especially if I bring them. It'd be awesome if I actually brought my books, since I'm talking about books. But that was such a rookie mistake. I was thinking about Cay's Cove and renting a cabin is what I was thinking about. And so I'll give people a book. I'll autograph a book and or give a book to strategic people, just certain people I think might be a client or might be an influencer. They influence potential clients, and I'll talk about that. But people keep books. People feel guilty for throwing away books. They don't throw away books. So I'm buying shelf space in their office. That's the sick thing about this too. I'm buying shelf space. They're not going to throw me away. They're going to feel guilty. Especially because it has a good perceived value, and if the message is aligned, You know, like if I'm marketing business owners and it's teaching them like how to market, you know, they're at least somewhat interested or whatever. They're going to keep it because I'll get to it someday. Okay, you know, maybe 2 years down the road. I've had people hire me 2-3 years down the road. Okay, but I don't have to do anything. It's just my content's still marketing for me. Number 4 reason is people have to talk about you. So so I'm talking about a specific way to publish tonight, and it's like collaborating, co-authoring. Well, say I don't know how many people in my book. I think I had like 12 or 15 people, but like I can't put everybody's name on the cover of my book. Okay, guess whose name's on the cover of the book? Mine, and I even put my website on there. And that's what's cool. And so if Bob is at a networking event and Bob wrote a chapter in my book, and I'm about to get in the steps how to do it, but Bob wrote a chapter in my book and he's proud of it, and he's talking about like, you know, investments, because that's what he does. I wrote a chapter about this in the book, and you can read it, and they're looking at it, they're probably going to ask, well, who's this David Dutton guy? What is Nastrapreneur.com? So like while I'm speaking here, somebody's probably talking about me. It's totally strategically done. That's the cool thing about this concept. I'm not saying this is the only concept. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you want to write your own book, just your own book, do it. Like, there's nothing, you know, wrong with that. But this is a way that you can do it really quick and have it out in a couple months and sell a ton of copies. I'm going to stop right there real quick before we get into the steps. Comments or questions about anything? Go ahead.
What do you think the competition is against the New Generations Association with Kindle books? And I'm a bookaholic, and I would definitely buy your book and put it on the shelf. And I do read them. So,
yeah, good. You're rare.
But you know, to me, it has a different feel than Kindle books.
I know.
Completely different feel.
We talk about that.
But they have been raised in a different place where everything is the technology age. So how would you address that?
Okay.
Messages to that audience?
She said, you know, how would I address basically physical versus digital in the market? First of all, I'm a marketer. People hire me to get their phone to ring. That's what I do. And I'll tell you my, like, I guess, secret sauce or what's in my brain on anything. It's the first questions I ask every single client is, who is your market? Like, who's giving you the visa? You know, and then who influences people giving you the visa? That's the only relationships I build, period. And so, like, if I knew, and like knowing that information, then what I do is I find out where they hang out. And so if I was marketing to the younger, I would probably still do a physical book, just to be honest with you, but like I would totally do a Kindle as well. I mean, I do it all. Like I would do it all. I'm not just physical, but if you want like kind of credibility, you get way more credibility with a physical book, because that, you know, you can see it, and it's like, yeah, it still works or whatever. Go ahead.
How'd you publish a book for $2?
I'll just tell you now, but lightningsource.com, they're in Smyrna. They're a division of Ingram Books, the largest book distributor in the world. And I buy like 500 at a time because they're already sold. Like they're not sitting around in my garage. And I get them for like $2 and I think 10 cents or so. And it could go cheaper if you get more, or less or whatever. So go ahead.
Can you do the same book digitally and physically?
Oh yeah. I mean, you could totally do. I'm doing that with a client right now. We're going to do a Kindle book, even though his demographic is probably more physical or whatever, and he needed that for credibility, like the physical. He's in finances, works with millionaires and all that, selling their company. But I would do, like I said, I would do both. You just do it everywhere. If you look on Amazon and people are buying a similar book, then put it out there. That tells you, like, you know, if somebody's already buying that, and it's easy to find that on Amazon. All right, one or two more questions, and we're gonna move on. Go ahead.
In the financial industry, it's so highly regulated.
Yep.
When you're, I guess, farming that out, you're hiring somebody else to write a chapter. How do you?
Well, a couple things. So the financial industry is highly regulated. I found I just added on another client that's in big time we're talking about dividend investing and all kinds of craziness, that what they do. And they're regulated. And I was talking to them the other day, and I said, I found there's two people in the industry. They're the ones that are kind of rocking the boat, and they're real risky. And I wouldn't do that because I think it's too high risk and you lose your whole business. But then there's all these other people that they're so conservative, they won't do anything, and they don't even know what they can't do. They're so freaked out that they're scared that they don't even find out what I can and can't do. I've got financial guys in my book that wrote a chapter. You know, Edward Jones, the crazy, over the top corporate structured, but he had to put a few things in there to, I don't even know what they were, but it was like he was the last one of my chapter to be in there because it took so long to get him approved or whatever. But it totally can work. I would just find out the rules and then, play in those rules. I wouldn't do risky because I don't want to lose my whole business or whatever. But I would never be that. I think conservative people are in this area are just as bad as the high risk people. I think they're terrible. Because I'm sad for them, to be honest with you, just because it's they're losing so much money. So I would put a book out in a second about in the financial niche about something, and I would actually have several small ones over time, not tomorrow, about one specific area or one specific demographic, divorced women or something like that, and just write a book just on divorced women. All right, one more, and I'm gonna keep going. Go ahead.
This kind of piggybacks what she had asked you. When you reach out to these people,
Yeah.
Or your VA,
Yeah.
do you find that email's best? Do you make a personal phone call? How did you actually initiate that relationship where they took you seriously enough that they would respond?
Good question. I'll go and answer that, and then we'll move on. You have to, Jonathan. I'm bad about time. You'll have to watch me if they go late or whatever. No, this is a great question. Everybody hear it? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. This is a great question. I've kind of mastered it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you if I suck at something too. So I'm not bragging on myself. I've just done this since 2006, and so I've learned some things. This will make you money if you forget everything else, I'll tell you. But quick question is my all-time subject line. It's made me the most money. That's it. Quick question is my subject line on my email. Still to this day in 2013. Been using it since 2006. Haven't even changed it. It just works on connecting with anybody for whatever you're trying to do. Yeah, that's the subject line of the email that you're going to send. So if I'm going to approach you about being in the book to get your attention, because there's 50,000 other emails in your inbox, the reason why, because they know it's quick. I think this is why it works. I don't know, but I think because they know it's quick, but there's a curiosity factor. And curiosity and anticipation are the two killer, things. So they're like, what the hell is this? Then. And anticipation, like Alfred Hitchcock, he just used anticipation. No one saw the gal getting stabbed, but what happened. And so so what I do, I go through email first usually. I call my hit list. I have the people that I want to be on the book or in the book. I typically send them an email and name drop a little bit. Not obnoxious because nobody likes that guy, but name drop a little bit just for authority. Because people want to know where you at in the herd. Are you a rookie or are you somebody I need to be doing business with? Okay, so they just want that, they're judging you. And so, I'll just say this is what I'm doing. I like to do 2 or 3 small paragraphs, very short. The goal, however you write it, the goal of the email is to get them to hit reply and pick up and say, let's schedule a 10 or 15-minute phone call. That's my call to action. I like to schedule about a 15-minute call to give you more details about my book. So I have a step for everything. Email is get them to get on the phone. The phone is get them to say yes and write me a check. That's it. Part of my coaching, this sounds like a commercial. This is a great commercial. Part of my coaching, I'm giving the contract away, the actual contract I use that you can use. You just modify for your own stuff. And the reason why that's a cool thing is because it does most of the selling for me. I mean, I could sell it if I wanted to, as far as being in my book, and I do. But my contract that I send them It actually is kind of a sales letter / contract. And so they see all the information. They can make a very educated decision, and it's like right there. So it's pretty cool. That's included in the coaching, because I just can't give that away. All right, so let's talk about actually how to do it. Here's the steps on how to do this, okay? I haven't left anything out. I literally sat in my room and I said, okay, how do I even do this? Like, I've never written this down until now. So step one, this is how I do every single project. Step one is I decide on your goal or your end game. So I'm going to just kind of tailor it to me real quick, because this is what I know. But like so when I started Nashpreneur and I wanted to put out a book, my second book, because I knew what happened with my first book, all the good stuff that happened, it was I wanted a way to market without leaving my house. Like, I don't go to a lot of networking meetings unless I'm speaking or whatever, and not that I'm any better, but I'm very selective on my time. Very selective. And you need to be too. If you're not, you need to be selective. Like, stop going to coffee with everybody. You know, like, everybody does that in business, and just, you know, I'm not against it, but just limit that to just certain people. But like, I needed a way to get my name out there. And so, in a way that's profitable, okay? And so, I basically, and I want to sell consulting. I didn't care about my $20 book. I really still don't. You know, I make $18, $17 a book. That's fine, but I'm not selling like millions of books, so it doesn't mean that much. I just buy more books, really. But my chapter 1, I wanted them to read chapter 1 of my book, because it showed proof that when you hire me, you get results. I mean, it was just basically how I wrote my chapter 1 on how I went from 0 to making a few $1,000s a month with Nashpreneur with no marketing budget, and I did it in 90 days. So, like, you know, I actually, when I teach something, I actually do what I teach, shockingly. And so I want people to hire me. It usually costs about $2,500 to hire me. So if I got one client, if I passed out 1,000 books, and one person hired me, it would be worth it or whatever. And so I wanted people to read chapter 1, see that they know that I know my stuff, I'm actually legit, and hire me. So that was my end game. The book is just distributing. That's all that is. It's just a way to get my name out there without me leaving the house. 2, decide on your target market. Okay, who do you want to get? Whose visa do you want? Basically, I always talk about you got to get somebody's visa. If you're not making money, you got a hobby, not a business. So basically, whose visa do you want? For me, it's the Nashville business community. Okay, that's what I was marketing to with Nashpreneur. So, okay, who are they? Remember my questions. Who are they and who influences them? Okay, so that's my market, Nashville business community. Who you know, pet owners. You know, that would be for your book. Okay, / veterinarians, because they influence your niche. See, just like that. Who hired you? Baby boomers, right? Or who's or business?
Actually, people with money hired me. You know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, are they baby boomers? Or are they a 30-year-old internet guy? Or?
On their 60s and 70s.
Okay, so baby boomer, are they?
There's different phases. Depends on which business
Right.
I was running.
Okay, my point, I guess, I didn't know it was going to be that difficult, but like baby, like, what you want to do is think about like your target market, what they're interested in, and then who influences that market or whatever, and think about like what you're going to do to, like just who that person is, and you can, like I said, dissect that into other things. Who was I talking about? Like divorced women. You know, I know there's in Texas for years, and they're still doing it. There's a thing called the divorce course, where like a counselor, an attorney, and a financial guy put together a 3-hour free workshop. They've been doing it for years for divorced women. No pitch or anything, just teaching them how to do their finances after divorce, and counseling on, you know, just teaching them things that, you know, can help them. And that's, you know, they've been doing that for years. And who do you think they hire after the event? Obviously, more than likely, those guys, even though they don't even pitch at the event. I called them and I was like, man, how y'all doing that? And they're like, no, we don't pitch at all. Like that, they're almost offended by it, which is fine. But you know, that know, like, and trust is built at the workshop. That's just a niche. You could target baby boomers, you know, whatever. So you got to find out who is going to, you know, give you the money. 3, oh, go ahead.
Well, if you're targeting divorced women and they don't have any money, they're going to buy not because they have the credit card.
Well, some do because
Some do, but a lot of them don't. I'm actually writing a book on this, and I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of research on it. But they will buy it out of desperation because they need answers if it's the right kind of book.
yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what pond you're fishing in. My
Yes.
financial client, my best client,
Yes.
literally makes $2 million a year off divorced women,
That
but they're rich.
that's rare though.
Yeah, I know, but my point is, like, you don't want to market, you don't want to be a nonprofit. You want to market, you know, so you need to decide that. So your target market would be don't market to broke people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's real revolutionary. You know, that's like, you know, shocking right there. That's what a college dropout will teach you right there, you know, like right there. Don't market to broke people. But here's the thing, I'm not saying like don't like help people, you know, like this one guy wanted to start a camp for children that couldn't afford it. Totally makes sense, but from a business standpoint, who's going to pay for that bad boy?
Yeah, you gotta have that.
Yeah, but if you want to do it out of the kindness of your heart, do it. We need that. That's why we're in business. That's why entrepreneurs, we change the world, because we can go fund, we can go pay for that stuff. But so when you're thinking about, this is a great topic. When you're thinking about your target market, make sure they're not broke. Like, I would write that down because it sounds obvious, but it's not. You know, so that's part of your target market. I'll just tell you an example for me now. So I made a change 2.5 months ago in my own business. Told you I'm real transparent. I could get clients all the time where I've got, you know, all these lead things and all this stuff, but like, man, there's only one of me, you know, like, and you burn out shockingly. You know, I'm not like 18 anymore, and you know, it's like, you know, you just is energy, you know, and so like, so I changed. I typically only work with people that are making about $250,000 a year, that they are consider themselves in the top 20% of their industry. So the 80-20 rule. I'm trying to think of what else. There's like 10 things I wrote down. I literally only take 3 clients a month. That's it. You know, and so it just depends. Some people go from month to month. Sometimes it's just a one-off thing. Like I'm helping one guy just do his book, and that's it, and then we're done. You know. But I made a change because of who I wanted to market to and my lifestyle. I value my time way more than money, you know. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take less clients, and I'm marketing to people that are not startup. That's another thing. They're not startups. Okay, I don't take startups as clients. I love startups because I was one, but I only market to people that can afford, you know, my services. So be thinking about that. I don't want to beat a dead horse on that. Number 3, decide on the topic of your book. Okay, so what do you want to talk about? What does your target market? I think your topic, Rebecca, is good. It's evergreen. You know, there's always, sadly, pets are going to die. We're always going to have pets. You know, I mean, like, that's an evergreen topic. Very emotional. People spend money on pets. There's a lot of reasons. And so think about the topic. What does your topic spend money on right now? Go to Amazon.com. Look at what they're spending money on. Look what the news is covering. Different things like that. The more emotional it is, the better, you know, because we buy by emotion, justify by logic. We all do. And let's see what else. If you can make money for people, you know, or save money, that definitely helps. It's easy to justify because they can see, you know, what you're doing. So that's just a random idea.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
On you said don't market to the broke people.
Yeah.
That's common sense, but I'm new in sales and I'm doing life insurance investments.
Okay.
With people that are already struggling, if something happens to one of them, they're definitely not going to be able to make it. So is there any kind of pointers you can give me on how to maybe market that?
Good. That's a good question. I know people are struggling, and they're right now, and some people, like, you know, I mean, it depends on who you hang out with, but like they, it's. I know that's kind of a tough sell, but I would basically look at the pond you're fishing in. Okay, and I say that. Move your market like I did. Okay, I was having clients pay me $500 or $1,000, and I'm glad to help them because I love entrepreneurs. And I was making money. Everybody's happy. Okay. But man, I was burnt out. I flat out got burnt out. Publishing 2 books and a sold out seminar, all this in like 12 months, and consulting clients and my other businesses. Man, I straight up got burned out. So I just changed. I know a guy I'm glad you brought this up. My financial guy in Florida met a guy who sells life insurance. And this is just one idea, and I'm not necessarily saying you do this, but just be thinking about this or variation. There's a life insurance agent that he met the other day, about 2 weeks ago, that all he does is bring in like best-selling authors, or I don't know what the names of the authors, so I don't know if they're B-list or A-list or whatever, but like authors that people want, and he only markets to CEOs. There's a thing called Vistage. It's for CEOs. You might want to look up that group. It's called Vistage. It's a group, it's a association for CEOs. He only emails those CEOs, so they all have money. And all he does, this is his pitch, is he'll bring them in for a networking event, and they come see this author, and it's like 30 or 40 people show up, and then he'll go get on the phone after the event and say, hey, this is John Doe. Would you like me to review your life insurance policy? That's his big high-pressure sales pitch. And it costs him $2,500 to put this event on, okay? But it's profitable for him every single month. And so, but look at the difference. Like, he's actually marketing to people that have money that, okay, you know, it's not, they can do it a second thought. You know, I'm not saying don't market to people that don't have money at all. Like, I know there's, you know, there's variations, there's middle grounds. I mean, but like, you know, just, I would analyze that. If you go in 10 sales presentations and all of them are telling you don't have money, I would analyze my sales pitch, you know, and I would analyze that first, and then I also analyze the pond I'm fishing in, okay? I'll answer more questions about that in a little bit.
Where do you go to get these people that have the money?
Well, you think about where people hang out, like, different types of, okay, like some people will go, and this is just a random example, okay? I'll give you two. So, B&I is a networking group, okay? Well, that's like 300, 600 a year, whatever. That attracts more different type of clientele than people on, like, say, meetup.com usually, okay? And that's not black and white stereotype, but like there's a definitely, I've ran tons of meetups, still do, and there's other free networking groups or whatever. You know, I'm not saying like you have to spend money and all of a sudden you're in this demographic, but there's things that are true about that. So like a certain type of person will go to that group versus like a free networking group. What else? Okay, so I keep bringing up my financial guy because I talk to him every week through my coaching, and so we're coming up with stuff. So he works with really high-end people, and I'm just giving you an example. I want you to think. One thing I want to try to leave with you guys is to really think outside the box. I know it comes more naturally to some people, I get that, but everybody can work on it. I mean, this stuff is just like, just because nobody else has done it, it don't mean anything. I mean, I'm serious. Like, if I could leave you with one thing, it's not real sexy, but like, start thinking outside the box or whatever. What else? So my financial guy, now he's dealing with really wealthy people, but the idea I gave him the other day, same concept I'm talking about, who's your market and who influences your market. So he's dealing with people like $5, $10, $20 million companies that want to sell it, and then he'll invest their money. And so yacht, I said, well, why don't you get in and do a party or a networking mixer with a yacht salesperson or the business owner, and then also the person that sells high-end cars and high-end real estate. They all sell to the same person, but they're non-competing. And so we're going to throw a party, some sort of party, and he's going to bring his clients and his contacts, and the yacht person's going to bring his, and the real estate person's going to bring hers. You see how we did that? That's just an example. Now that's extreme, but I could, you know, think about it for my own. All right, I'll give you an example of my own. I attracted, and it's interesting, I tried it, but I didn't know if it would work. I'm just being transparent what I'm about to tell you. It actually worked, and it was fascinating. I love this stuff. I try to test this stuff, and I see what happens. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I want to put on my event, and I wanted to attract a certain type of person. And I will tell you, there was I actually turned down about $2,000 in vendors that wanted to buy a booth at my space and at my event. And I turned down about $2,000. It was hard because I'm like, man, this dude wants to give me money, but like I wanted people to go up and like be excited about going to this vendor and talk to them, because sometimes, I'm not going to say what industry or whatever, I don't want to offend some people, but like there are certain industries that people like run away from, like at these events, because they're at every single event, and you know what I'm saying, Jonathan. Like and so like I'll just say I strategically chose who I wanted at my event as a vendor, and I put them on my website on the sales page. And when people showed up, I had my wife, my sister-in-law, worked the table. I had my event planner doing everything else. And then all I did was just walk around and shake hands. That's what I wanted to do that day, just to talk to people, because I wanted to talk to 130-something people in one day. And so that was the goal of my event, just to meet a bunch of people one time, and some of those became clients. Fascinating. People actually told me, first of all, how unique the vendors were, because it was like kind of random. It wasn't like the typical vendors, but the quality of people that I attracted was fascinating. And I marketed to like some of the college, like the MBA, the LinkedIn group of MBA alumni from Belmont University. You see, like, that was a higher end, they're MBA alumni, from a nice college. And so, like, I did that. That was part of my marketing strategy, and it actually worked. And so, there's that. And now I've done one, and I'm going to do it my next one in March. I'm going to do it every year. I'm actually charging higher prices now. Typically, and it's not black and white, but I found this to be true. Typically, people with money have no problem like paying for something good. They don't just, I want everything free or anything like that. They'll actually pay for something. And so my event, I'm charging higher ticket prices, because it'll turn away some people. I don't want to pay you the $17. But for my market, like if I look at all the other expos that are my competition, nobody's doing it. Okay, so like you'll actually attract a certain type just because of your marketing. It's not black and white, but like the way you present yourself, like if you had good branding. Man, I wish my website was up right now. I got a new consulting site called, you can check, if you check it out in about 2 weeks, it'll be up, marketingresultsguaranteed.com. When people hire me, if they don't make their money back with me, I just give them all their money back. Like nobody does that. And so like if my branding is targeted, it's very high-end, beautiful graphics. It didn't cost me a lot of money. Beautiful graphics. And it will attract a certain type of person too. So it's kind of, I wish it was more black and white, but there's certain things that you can do, like certain LinkedIn groups. Vistage, the CEOs. That's a fish. That's a pond right there. All right, let's keep going, and then I'll answer more questions. Decide on your partners. Man, be strategic about it, obviously, but like, think about who you want. If you don't like a person, don't put them in your book. I know that sounds obvious, but like, I've done it. I'll just tell you, I've done it, and I'm going to take this gal out of my book because I just don't like the way she does business. But like, I put her in there, but as I've learned more, I'm like, so I'll just do an updated version, See ya. And, but be selective about it. It's your business card. It's like it's your calling card. People are going to judge you, so put it in there. What else? Anything about that? Think about platform. Consider that. If there's 10 financial, I'm just making this up. If there's 5 people in the financial industry that you're thinking about, like maybe 5, if there's 5 life insurance agents, okay, that I'm thinking about because I want a life insurance agent in my book, I'm going to go find the person that I see everywhere because they probably got a platform to sell my book. You see what I'm saying? I'm looking for somebody to sell my book. So like, I might like somebody, and as long as they're legit, don't just do it just because they got a platform. I mean, I don't think that, I think that's shady, but like, find somebody that's like what I call in the game, that has a platform. Let's see.
What do you mean by that?
Like influence. Okay, how did y'all get here? Jonathan has a platform. I didn't market to you guys and get y'all in this room. Jonathan puts on this meetup every month. He has a platform.
I mean, are you saying use their platform? Or?
Target people with platforms.
Okay.
So like if I wanted to do a book about, if I want to take Nashpreneur and do Noxpreneur.com, by the way, it's already registered, so don't even think about it. But like if I want to do Noxpreneur.com and do a book, I'm putting Jonathan in my book. I'm still going to charge him, but I'm going to put him in my book, you know, because he has influence. Because I want to market it to Knoxville business owners. Okay, does that make sense? Stacy Standifer, she owns a dang magazine about doing business, or about Nashville. And like she has tons of Twitter followers and Facebook followers locally. And then it's like a contained unit. It's like Nashville, you know. I'm not saying you have to do a local book, but you know, it's just like word gets out, you know. So Phil Valentine, he has a radio. Now he hadn't promoted it, but I hadn't really even pushed it, you know, because it's doing its job now for what I wanted to do. But everybody understand platform?
Yes.
5, decide on your team. Now here's your team. Here's how you do it. Here's everybody you need on your team to do what I'm doing and Jonathan's doing, my clients are doing. You need an editor. You need somebody that knows what a verb is and an adverb. Okay? That's what you need. So pick 3 to 5, preferably 5 people to read your book and figure out, you know, what's right and what's wrong. What a participle, one of those things are. You know, go find 3 to 5 people to go do that for you, okay? They'll be happy to go sit around and read that stuff for you and do that.
Is that a Odesk, Elan?
All that, yeah. Odesk, freelance.com, Fiverr.com.
How do you spell that?
Let's see, one of them's Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.
How do you spell Odesk?
Odesk.
Oh, just like it sounds.
And is it freelance or Elan? I use Elan.
Yeah, Elance. Yeah, freelancer.com is another one. Elance.com and then freelancer.com. So there's like 5 examples of where to hire somebody. And I hired my last ones off Craigslist. I actually it's fascinating. Like I don't hire a ton off Craigslist, and I don't care if they're local or not. I know that people argue about that. I would like local, but I'm not going to go pay 10 times what I can get it somewhere else. You know, I'm just not going to do that because I'd be a nonprofit. But like you can find amazing stuff off Craigslist. I mean, I hired my last 2 editors off Craigslist. This is what I want. And never talked to them or anything. I'm just through email. Never talked to them, and they just edited my book. But I would get 3 to 5. That's one of the things I'm embarrassed about in my 2006 book. Like I paid 1 editor, you know, and I didn't know any better. I mean, obviously I had to edit, but you know, even he missed stuff. Dan Miller busted on me, Jonathan, 48 days, because I mean it's like rookie. Like I didn't know. I was freaking like 28, never done it before, and you know, I don't regret it because I got it out there. But now it won't even leave my office unless 3 people have edited. Okay, so get 3 to 5 editors. Book layout person. So you need somebody to actually lay the book out. Like, you know, you send them a Word document that's edited, and then they actually like lay it out for you. I don't even know what you call that guy, but I just call him like a layout guy. So I got this guy. Like this guy that he does it for me. So like, does anybody even know what that? Yeah, it's like a copy.
Typesetter.
There is it. Typesetter. There you go. C, graphics. Okay, you need your book to look good. Do not skimp on this. Now, when I say skimp on it, I'm not saying you even have to pay a lot of money. I got a friend, super impressed, Fiverr.com, and I get lots of graphics off Fiverr, okay? But she got her book cover done on Fiverr, and I've seen it. She's in my book, and then she published her own book, and really freaking good. And she paid $5 for her book cover. And it's really freaking good. I mean, I would tell her if it was, but just don't skimp. Don't do it yourself. Like if you halfway know Photoshop, don't do that. Like people are going to judge you. Always remember that. D, you need a printer. You're the publisher. You know, like when you publish it, your own book. Like my book's published under Marketing Matters Media. That's the name of my company. And so I needed a printer. / I guess distributor. So I use Lightning Source. It's not the only game in town, but I would say it's the best. You could go up the street to Books a Million or Barnes & Noble and get my book. Now it's not on the shelf because it's in Knoxville and it's a local book, but you could literally go up and say, can I order the Ultimate National Business Guide, and you could order it. CreateSpace, I don't think you can. You can? Okay. They may have changed it, but there's some shadiness, and I'm not knocking CreateSpace in the sense of like don't do it or anything. By the way, CreateSpace is Amazon's thing. That's another viable option.
How are you saying that?
Create space.
Okay.
I got a little country in me.
What did you write, Knoxville Business?
What's that?
What was your book?
Ultimate Nashville Business Guide.
And don't you have another Knoxville?
No, I will someday. I got the domain, but
You were saying something about a Knoxville business site.
Knoxpreneur.com. Like I have that domain. Like I could launch that. And I was saying about a platform. If I was going to do that, Jonathan would be one of many people in my book because he's got a platform. Let's see. So you need a printer. I like a Lightning Source for many reasons. I was really intimidated by it at first, like because I'd never done it before. I never went through them, and their customer service is like over the freaking top. Like you got like one person assigned to you. Like there's massive company, massive, but like they got one person assigned to your account. You can email them. They'll call you. They'll follow up with you. I mean, it's just freaking amazing. And when it gets published, you can click on like you can click this button if you want them to distribute it. They put it on Amazon for you and everything. I didn't do anything. BarnesandNobles.com, Amazon, BooksAMillion.com. It's all on there. My book's on there. And I didn't do anything at all. So it's pretty cool. That's what I use. Again, CreateSpace is another option. There's a little bit of shadiness, I think, like with their contracts and stuff, but it just depends. There's some things like their upgrade for $50 and stuff. You should look into it. And I'm not saying like don't do it or whatever. It depends on your goal. If you don't, there's something with the rights too. There's something with the rights or whatever. But like I said, it'll work perfect for what you're doing. So don't think like you've made a bad decision. So I'm not saying that or whatever. But if you did, I would tell you. I'm not trying to cover it up. I'm just saying that's another option. Like if I was, I could have went with CreateSpace for my books because I just wanted to get consulting clients locally. It would have done its job. They'd put out really quality stuff. Jonathan's used them like 3 or 4 times, and so they're really high quality. So that's printing. Okay, go ahead.
I heard that CreateSpace will put it on Kindle for like an extra $65.
Oh, that's cool. Cool, yeah. So Amazon will maybe put it on Kindle for you, I'm sure. But for like 60-something bucks or whatever. So that'd be awesome. Another way just to hit another person in a different way. All right, last step. This is the last. Literally, this is all I do. This is the last step. Decide on an ongoing marketing plan. What are you going to do to actually keep selling your book? Figure out ways to sell your book. I'll give you just one idea that I'm doing, and what I mean by like creativity and think outside the box, you might take my idea and like spin it and make it your own. Okay, like that's just one way to be creative. But so my brain is always thinking, who's going to give me the visa, or who influences the people. Okay, so I'm marketing to business owners. Who else markets to business owners, like locally or whatever? Well, one of them is like Office. I don't even forgot this one, but like Office Suites Plus is one example. Okay, they've let me use their meetup space, whatever. But I'm trying to think of this other one that's actually like bigger. They're like international. So I approach them because they market to business owners, but they're not doing what I'm doing, right? So I said, tell you what, my book, they're not going to throw it away, okay, because it's a book. Instead of buying advertising or buying a flyer or brochure, which I'm not saying don't do any of that stuff totally, because I don't think it's black or white, but you could actually, how about you buy like a sticker? I'll design like a nice sticker, and it'll say compliments of Office Suites Plus for a free gold membership. Call this number and put in code NASHpreneur. Okay, now let me tell you, so take it, I can go get a nice sticker done, put it on the front cover of my book. I don't even mind putting it on the front cover. And when I go and speak, I'll just give everybody a copy of the book, and they sponsor my book. They pay the $2 for my book. And so like just do it at cost, or I split it with them. Even if I split it with them, I would still do it. Okay?
I'm not following you.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. See, you get like really creative and like, all right. So I want who buys office space or who rents office space? Business owners. Small business owners. Who do they want as who are their prospects? Small business owners. They need to meet more people, like I need to meet more people, okay? Who are my prospects? Who's going to hire me to market their business? Business owners. So we're marketing the same pond, right? So I'm going to go out and market my business, okay? Now, they're not going to get out as much, and nobody's going to invite them to speak. Who wants to talk about office space? You know, they may sponsor a dinner or whatever for like 15 minutes, come check out blah, 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 but they're not going to be the featured speaker at an event or something, you know, because nobody would do that. But I can get in the door because I wrote a book, okay? It's very easy. I just booked a speaking engagement for next week or the week after or something like that. Easy, okay? So I'm like, hey, I can get in. Her name's Mary. I can get in the door, Mary. This is what I was pitching her. So I tell you what, I would like to give everybody a copy of my book. That's my goal. That's what I would like to do. So how about you guys sponsor my book? And here's what I'll do. I'll get a nice sticker design, nice professional sticker. Corporate can sign off, make sure they approve it. They'll say like Office Suites Plus for a free 3-month trial. Call this number. You with me still? Everybody with me? Okay. Now here's the ninja part of it. You can track a lot of your advertising. Man, I could come back and talk. That'll probably be the topic next year. Tracking your advertising. People don't even think about tracking their advertising. So, like, if you want to take it to another level, you don't have to, but you could. And you could say, to get a free trial, mention the code NASHpreneur. Okay? So when I call, hey, I got David Dutton's book, and it said to use NASHpreneur, and I can get a free trial for 3 months. And so they can track if their advertising is working because they're going to buy my books. So I might structure a deal. What's your name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, I might structure a deal where, I mean, if I can, I'll get them, pay the whole $2.10, so I don't have to pay nothing. I was broke. That's where this comes from. I used to be poor. I ate peanut butter ramen noodles back in the day. So I still have that mindset. So if I can get my marketing for free, I'm going to.
Do you think they're actually going to mention that, though, when they talk to people when you're not around?
You could get a different number.
Oh, I do. That's a whole other thing. There's dollars.
But that's not who's doing it. He's speaking and handing out the book.
Handing out the book, and they have a sticker on my book.
Right.
And so, like, that book, like, if they put out a flyer, and I said, hey, this talk is sponsored by Office Suites Plus, and, like, here's a flyer, okay? They're going to throw that bad boy away as soon as the event's over, or leave it right there on the table.
Yep.
But a sticker riding along, piggybacking on my book, which they're not going to throw away, probably has a 2, 3, 4, or 5 year shelf life. Okay? So for $2.10, you could probably easily say they'll probably have that book for 2 years, more than likely. You divide $2.10 by 2 years, whatever that comes out to, math guys. So, like, that's cheap advertising for them.
Yeah, a $2 piece. I mean, you think
It's
about,
nothing.
a foam ball or something you're going to give away, and so how many suites do they have to sell?
Exactly. So if I'm speaking and there's 20 people in the room and I go speak 10 times, I just put them in front of 200 people, for $2.10 per book. Okay? That's a way that you can actually, like, offset the cost of your marketing. The reason why they would do that, and I've already pitched them, they want to do it. So this is a deal, an actual deal that I'm putting together, and it wasn't even hard. I didn't even turn on the juice.
So on the sticker, you're just advertising the business owner?
Yeah, the Office Suites Plus. Hey, call for a free trial, whatever their offer is, call for a free trial, 3 month. And if they wanted to, like you said, and I'll just touch on this just for a second because I don't want to get off topic, but this is some ninja stuff, is you could go set up a Google Voice number. I mean, most corporate won't do it, but I would in my own business, I do. A Google Voice number or a Twilio.com, TWILLO.com. For $1 a month, I buy a bunch of phone numbers, and I have them on different websites, and I track. So you could actually put a phone number on there for $1 a month on that sticker if they wanted to track to see how many calls. And you could see, okay, you know what? I gave David we've invested $1,000 in David last year, and we got 200 books or whatever, okay? How many calls did we actually get? Most of them won't do that, but that you could, and that's what you should think about in your business, is track that. I'm doing it with a client right now. We have a phone number on one website, and I know how many leads we get from just one website.
What do you put in to get the Google Voice number?
Oh, just go to google.com/voice, I guess, and get it's free, and then you could redirect it to your cell phone or go to voicemail or whatever, but it will actually tell you how many phone calls you get from that, and that's free. And you can do that for anything. You should do it for your business cards. You should do it for if you buy any advertising, I would. Nobody memorizes people's office numbers or anything, so don't think about branding and all that garbage for that. Just go get a phone number and track. That way, if Mr. Newspaper Advertising Man says, Bonnie, I know you're thinking about quitting. You still need to get your name out there. Why don't you commit for 3 more months? Well, if you tracked it with your phone number, you can see, dude, I haven't got one freaking phone call from your newspaper. I'm not going to go pay you another $500 times 3. You see what I'm saying? And do that with all your stuff. So, all right, I'm done. Questions or comments? And then I'll talk a little bit about coaching. It's not a big deal.
I'm still a little confused on the sticker. The book is you, and the sticker is the business.
Just say Office Suites Plus.
That's the business you're at speaking.
I like NASA.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Okay. I approached Mary. Jonathan Taylor asked me to come speak at this event. There's going to be about 30 people there, and I would like to give everybody a free copy of my book. Okay, Mary. I know basically there's some of those people in the room are probably going to need office space. Tell you what, for $2.10 per book, if you'll buy my books at cost, I'm not even going to mark it up, just at cost or whatever. If you'll do that, I'll put a sticker with your advertisement on the on the cover of my book saying this is compliments of. So it's like Goodwill too. It's like Goodwill. Am I that boring? Half the room just left? Oh, come on. All right, you see what I'm saying? And so now I'm going to go speak. Hey, by the way, all these free books that you're getting, they're compliments of Office Suites Plus. And so, say thank you. By the way, if you need office space, I'd call them. The number's right there. That's what I would do. Do you see where I'm going? So they're not out pitching. I'm the one pitching because I'm the one getting in front of the room. Does that make sense? You sure? Yeah. Okay. All right, a couple more questions, comments. All right, so guys, I wrote everything down of what to do. I actually didn't hold, the only thing I've held back, and this is just for clients, I won't give the contract, I'm not giving that away for free. That's money, because people will give you a check. People will give you a check. I didn't talk about that real quick. I did leave something else about people being in my book. So let me tell that real quick, because just so give y'all understand about this. Anybody in this room can do this. So the first book, Ultimate National Business Guide, I just said, hey, buy 50 copies of my book for X amount, and you can be in my book. Okay, because it cost me money to put this together, right? And I only marked it up like $1 extra or something, just so I could recoup my costs. But it dawned on me, people being in your book, it's a high perceived value. I just didn't value it as much as I should have. People are honored. I can't do it until y'all do it. When you do it, call me. You'll know what I'm talking about. People will be honored to be in your book. Okay. So my next book, I charge people $450 to be in my book. I got 15 people, and they smiled when they wrote me the check. And so you can make a bunch of money. And my contract mostly sold them, and it wasn't even fancy. It was just here's the contract, and here's all the details you need to know. You can decide if you want to be in it or not. And here's the cool thing, don't be desperate about getting people in your book. There's 1 million people out there that would love to be in your book. So if somebody says no, or I'm thinking about it, okay. I'm not saying they have to decide that second, but if they're kind of wishy-washy and no, just go somewhere. Huh?
Why do they need to do a contract to buy your book for 50 copies?
To agree to do it. If we didn't have an agreement that then one, I could publish, their chapter in my book.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But also, hey, we had an agreement to buy 50 copies, and you come and tell me, dude, we didn't have no freaking agreement. Well, yeah, we did. You signed it.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. So that's how you make money. Okay. $450 people paid me. Anybody can do it. So, question?
Do you always offer them to write a whole chapter or a paragraph?
Okay, good question. In the contract, I lay everything out. Here's the dates you need to do it, and here's the word count. Now, I said 500 words at first. That was not cool. That's not a lot at all. So now it's 2,000. 2,000 to 3,500. Don't go over. You know, just around that ballpark. That's what I tell them in the contract. Hey, you need to write roughly about 2,000. I'm not nickel and diming if it's 1,300. You know, I'm not hardcore about it. You know, but you know, definitely not 500 anymore. You know, yeah, words. Yeah, that was just didn't know any better really.
What about the legal end of the collaborative deal?
That's in my contract. I mean, it's literally like right there, and they sign it and get in there. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the selling aspect of it to get people in your book, and them signing the contract. Not a big deal. I mean, it's like it's right there. They print it out and they mail it to you, and along with a check.
You, to go along with that as well, besides, you tell them what subject you want them to speak about?
They asked me, and here's the thing. In my contract, I actually, because I learned from the first book, actually, people were like, well, I kind of, I tell people to write on their expertise, you know, whatever their target market would want from them. And, but they still kind of like needed some ideas. So the next book, I gave them like, I come up with ideas like all the time. So I wrote like 15 chapter ideas, just examples of brainstorming that's in the contract. So like this contract, like just does all the like heavy lifting for me. That's what's so cool. So I just learned that from experience. Like they needed help, and they loved that brainstorming. They love all those ideas or whatever.
Hey, Dad, does your contract give you ownership to what they've written? Or
Yes. Yeah, it says it right there. Yep. They can use it like their chapter, but they can't like use my book like they can't just like give away my book. But they can give away their chapter if they want to put it in an article or feature it in a magazine or whatever, or press release or anything. They can. That's just the way I do it. Don't get hung up on the legal stuff. Like, so when I'm talking about contract, I actually bring it up for y'all more for the selling of it, not necessarily the legal. The legal is important, but it's not as important to me. You know, it's not like nickel and dime, like all these fine print. It's not even about that. It's more of like, it's just professional. Like, wow, you're doing this right. It says something about you doing it right, and it's professional. And it tells them all the things. Like, they know when it's due, what they're supposed to write about. You know, all that stuff.
And so it has to pertain to the book that it's
yeah.
reflecting.
So I tell them, so Bonnie, so I'm doing this book about doing business in Knoxville, and I'm featuring a bunch of just business owners that market to other, you know, entrepreneurs and business owners here in Knoxville. And so what do you do for a living?
Lots of things, but doctor of naturopathy.
Okay, cool. All right, so, okay, great example. So I'm helping a doctor in Kentucky right now do his book. So like, what I would do probably if I was in the health niche, I would come up with like a health book here locally. It doesn't necessarily have to be locally, but like, you know, and you can even twist it down the road. You can revise it and do it, you know, but like I would feature other health experts that you respect. Don't just put anybody in there. Sure. That you respect. So we're going to do the top experts in Knoxville about health, you know, and then that's what I would do. That's a money shot right there. You know, that's a idea right there. You could easily get people all day to be in that book. I could put one together easily.
You are giving them a certain number of books as part of their
yeah.
Do you have the same number of books for everyone, or do they have options to have different?
You could, and you don't have to be black and white. If you end up getting my contract and stuff, you don't have to be hardcore about it. First one I said buy 50 copies. Like that was a rookie mistake. I should have did a lot more. A buddy of ours does like 500 and 1,000. He has these different options. I did like 100. This last time I did 100. My goal was one of my end games was I wanted at least 1,000 books floating out around Nashville. If I got 1,000 books floating out, somebody's gonna pick up the phone and call me. And I got what these called, I can't get into it today, but I've got all these things called bounce back offers in my book that bounces people back to my websites and stuff. And they're gonna call me, they're gonna get in my pinball machine, and they're gonna call me today or 12 months from now or 2 years from now, you know. And so, where are we at?
So when
we
you
done?
sponsor your book, they're investing in the book, they're paying your cost for the book, or above that cost?
You know what? No, they're paying, like I usually don't mark it up. I did the first time, but the second time in future, I'm not going to mark it up. Just this is the way I'm doing it.
But then they give you an additional $450 to be in the book?
You got to give me $450 to be in my book. And that gives you, no, that includes it. That gives you 100 copies of the book as well. What I tell people, like this is me pitching, okay? Like if I wanted Bonnie my book, This is my actual conversation, okay? So I kind of tell them what the contract is, and then I'll just I'll email it to them or whatever, you know, like if they're interested or whatever. I'll just say, Bonnie, it's $450 to be in my book. You know, if you got 1 or 2 clients out of the book, I mean, the cool thing is all these other people are out going to talk about you. Oh, you got to read chapter 7 because Bonnie's chapter about like blah, blah, blah is freaking awesome, okay? People are going to be doing that. And there's value to that. So when you're out working with patients, somebody else is talking about you. And so it's $450 to be in the book because it actually costs me, you know, I hire really nice editors, really nice graphics, all these things to make it really professional. It's going to be a great product. So it's $450 for the resources, my time. You get 100 copies of the book. You don't have to buy any more books. I mean, if you want to, great. You just call me, and I don't even mark it up, you know. So like you're buying it literally the same cost as me. I'm just ordering it for you or whatever because I already have the account. I'm not even marking it up. So if you want to, but you don't have to, Bonnie. You can just, the $450 will get you 100 copies of the book. And that's my pitch. Okay. Okay.
Can I share one thing?
Yeah.
David's, what he's sharing with you tonight, like he said, most people that you approach have never written a book. So they're going to be thrilled to submit a chapter for the most part because that gets their exposure. It's getting them exposure to their business because in reality, most of these people are never going to write a book. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. But they get to put themselves into a book
Mm-hmm.
that he's published.
They want to, bad.
And here's the cool thing. David not only applies this to publishing a book, he's done this with websites too. He's published a How They Lose Weight site where he did interviews with a lot of people.
Pull people together. Mm-hmm.
You know, going through their process of weight loss, put together the site. So this could be done in multiple formats.
You don't even have to do a book.
Publishing in a print, you can do it online too because he did it digitally and then sold that website to a marketer.
And I didn't do anything but just come up with the idea and like.
That's what I'm talking about, the collaborative efforts. He's a master of taking other people's efforts, utilizing other people's time and efforts, and that's the key in all this is looking at other people out there that want to share their knowledge, share their story, and that's gonna. Yeah.
All right. Last question, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about the coaching. And if you want more, then come to wherever we're eating at.
I am in a nonprofit.
Uh-huh.
I'm founder of a nonprofit.
Okay.
And I'd like to know if any particular reasons why a book wouldn't work for a nonprofit.
No, it would. Oh, it would. I joke around because I use a lot of slang, like Duttonisms, but like about nonprofits, like I'm not a nonprofit.
Who's listening?
Huh?
You never know who's listening.
Oh, yeah. Well, it doesn't bother. I'm not going to change what I talk about. Like, but here, what I mean by that when I say that, like, I think nonprofits should because they can actually like make money. Remember, point number 2 or 3 was funding your marketing. A nonprofit could actually make money from their marketing and stop just asking people for money. Like, give them something like of value. You know, like, wow, that's a really cool thing. So when I was joking around about being a nonprofit, what I'm talking about is you start a business for profit. Like that's the definition of a business, okay? You do it for profit, okay? If you don't make money, you are a nonprofit, okay? But everybody in this room is not wanting to. They want to publish a book because they want to make more money, okay? That's why I joke around about being a nonprofit, okay? I think nonprofits should publish a book, absolutely, 100%. All kinds of books. Like what's your nonprofit do?
It's an outreach to students and scholars at UT, international students and scholars.
Okay, so what are you offering? Like, why do you exist?
Teach advanced American accent English.
Okay, gotcha. And so what's your, so you're doing it for these students at like no charge kind of thing, and that's the ministry / or whatever you want to, okay, gotcha, okay. I would think about a book, I would think about if you can benefit from it. I haven't thought about it because I'd have to really put some thought into it, but if it makes sense for your, maybe a book about tips and things, like a guide or whatever, that they could buy.
Well, I'm thinking about, I'd like to talk to you about
we can talk more about it. All right, so I'm going to talk real quick about coaching if you want to do it. There's only 4 spots, okay? 3 of them, only 3, and this is not, the only place on the entire web, because I just did it today, this exists is, yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah, it's terrible. It's just terrible. All right. Man, somebody else, if you can do that bigger, could do it. www.nashpreneur.com. That's NASHPRENEUR.com. Russell, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Like slash 48 hours. Slash 48 hours. The number 48 and then hours. It's the only place. I literally am going to take it down. Jonathan, everybody can vouch. Like Jonathan and Russell and them know how much I charge. So like this is not even remotely like what I charge. I'm going to take this page down. I just did it today in 48 hours. But I'm going to do 3 spots for $500. Actually, $450. $450. You get to do coaching with me through email for 4 weeks. Okay, you get to email me every single day. Anything you're stuck on, if you want to know how I pitch, and I'm gonna spill it a little bit. I don't like to write, shockingly. Like I don't like to, I talk fast. I actually usually will record what I'm gonna say to you instead of replying through email. We'll record it, so I give you like way more value, but people don't know that until they hire me. And it's really just because I have my podcasting microphone already hooked up, so I can literally hit record. And I can just tell you, give tons of stuff. So I give you ridiculous values. Don't think email coaching is like, it's nothing to sneeze at. So you get to email me literally, no pun intended. How about that timing right there, like that? So yeah, so like 4 weeks, you get my contract. Just that alone, you could look. And if you charge somebody $450 to be in your book, or even $300. Totally doable. Like that's not even a stretch, really. I mean, that's not even like working hard. You don't even have to be a salesman for that. Two people in your book could pay for the coaching with me. So you get the contract. You get 4 weeks coaching with me. You get 2 group calls. Okay, where the 3 people. I'm literally only doing 3 people. We'll all get on the group call, and so we'll just brainstorm. If somebody's stuck on something, somebody else is probably stuck on the same thing. I don't do this at all.
But if you've already paid for it, do you still have to use it in that week? The next week? Or like if you have something going on and you have to wait 2 weeks, but you've already paid for the service?
If somebody wanted to pay and then want to wait 2 months down the road or whatever, I would do that. Normally I would want to just do it all 3 at one time, so we do the group call, and so all 3 of us can be on the group call, but if you wanted to do it later, that's fine. All right, so 3 people. If you would do it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. You got 48 hours. The first people that give me the $450, like I said, you can't lose because I'm gonna give your money back if it doesn't work. One person. This is one person. If you want to work with me for the whole year, I will get on the phone with you for 30 minutes. I'm not Dr. Phil, so after 30 minutes, I found I don't do hour consultations anymore because after about 30 minutes, I become Dr. Phil, and I'm not Dr. Phil. So like we specifically talk about how to make you more money. Okay, it's very direct. I'm your friend second. You're my client first, friend second, meaning I'm here to make you money. And so I'm going to tell you things. If I think your cover is terrible, I'm going to tell you your cover is terrible because I don't want you to put out something garbage. We get on the phone once a week, same time, every week for 6 months, and then every other week for 6 months. So a full 12 months, $5,000. That's what it is. If you don't make $5,000, you get your money back. Real simple. I haven't done. If you Google me and I can email it to you, I've got tons of case studies of people I've made like $12,000 a month. I'm making this other doctor right now. We're at about $10,000 a month right now, but I can definitely see that going to $30,000. But I've got tons of track record, and you can look at my books and all that stuff. So one person for that. That's it. 3 people for the coaching for $450. The contract alone, if I didn't even coach you, the contract alone would help you go this week and get a client. Like a health book, you could do that all day in your sleep and make that. I'm not saying whether you want to do it or not.
I've already been working on that.
Yeah, it's easy.
If we're not in a position to pay that now, in a year from now we are.
That's what 48 hours is for. I don't do that.
No, I mean you do this every year?
No. I speak here every year, but like this, it's $2,500 to hire me, and I literally take 12 people a year. Like that's not even blowing smoke. That is what it is. Jonathan knows. That's why I hang out in the mountains, all week this week or whatever. Like, I do that intentionally. So it's $2,500. So this $450 thing is literally like.
No, I was talking about the $5,000 thing.
The 5,000. That's a one-time thing, and you can do. There's no commitment on that, or there's no time frame. There's no time frame on that. That's a coaching thing that I offer every year, but I only want to take one, whatever for that. But it's if you wanted to check 6 months from now and see if I'm doing it, you can. Okay. But the big thing for the 48 hours is really the 3 spots, because that's not something I do ever. I say try it. Like, if you want to do this, if it's not for you, if you're not going to do the collaborative thing, then don't do it. You're going to waste your money. But like, if you're really saying, dude, I really want to do this, you're not going to get any more value ever. And there's not many people that like do this, like collaborate and can get people to actually pay to be in your book and smile when they write the check. And I'll just, that's how we do it. So I'm done. That's about as pitch. You can get more details. When you go to that site, you have to call me. In fact, actually, I don't let you just hand me your visa. Actually, we're going to do about a 20-minute consultation where I actually kind of interview you before you can even sign up. So when you go to that page, there's no buy now button. There's actually my phone number, and we're going to do a 15-minute phone call to see if I think your idea is even legit. If I don't think you can make money because your idea is like whack, I'm not going to do it, because I don't want you to ask for your money back. Okay? So when you go there, it's just details, basically what I just told you in writing, okay? And the money back guarantee is in writing. And then it says, if you're interested, then call me. You got 48 hours. But you get more questions and stuff answered at dinner tonight. Done.
Dinner.
Woo! Man, I just lost weight right here. I just lost weight.